let me tell you about the only serious injury I ever got, which was from my brain thinking I could do something, but my body not being able to. So, I've been climbing off and on, more off than on, for the past decade. And it was always something I wanted to do. I remember saying to my parents when I was about 8 or 9, I wanted to go climbing. I meant bouldering, they thought I meant top rope. Even though they knew I was scared of heights, they took me to a top rope gym. And I cried and I turned around and I never went back. It was terrifying to me. But then during my PhD, I said to my wife I wanted to go climbing because she's done it before. And we went. And I loved it. It scratches my brain just right. My mathematical problem solving brain and the fact that bouldering is all about trying to figure out what to do to get to the top. Loved it. But like I said, it's been more off than on over the past decade. And that kind of leads to an issue. Because I said in the previous video about New Game Plus, or thinking like a roguelite, which in video games, you don't always start from the beginning. And fitness is very much like that. You're never a complete beginner. Well, you are, but only once. Because once you've done it, and once you've got some experience, going back to it, you remember things. You remember fueling strategies, hydrations, how terrible gels taste, if you've been running or cycling. And with bouldering, you remember, okay, I kind of like crimps or jogs or dynamic movements. The problem is, though, that your body resets. And that's happened to me recently. So during COVID, we moved into an area, and just about that time, a new climbing wall opened up and then the lockdowns happened. So when the lockdowns were lifted or we were able to go and exercise, we joined this climbing gym. And so during that lockdown period during COVID, we climbed 3-4 times a week because it was 10 minutes away. We were able to do it and it got us out of the house. And we got quite strong. And I remember projecting this V3. Might not sound impressive, but I was projecting this V3 and I was super thrilled to send it. And I realized, actually, I quite like crimps. Now, for those of you who climb, if I say I quite like crimps and I injure myself, you probably know what's coming. But as part of it, I was like, oh, I also kind of like pockets. And so when I rejoined the climbing gym a couple of months ago, I saw this project, a V3, V4, pockety, overhangy, kind of really into my style. And I tried it, and I was like, okay, I can send this. I can do this. It might take some time, but I can do it. And so over the next couple of sessions, I kept trying it and trying it and trying it. And the thing is, my brain was like, I can do all these moves. I know I can do them. I've done them before. The problem is, that was 4 years ago. My tendons, my fingers, my body isn't as prepared now as it was 4 years ago. So probably on my 25th or so go, I pull onto the wall. I'll probably show some footage up here. I pull onto the wall, get into the position, and I just hear pop, pop. Like cracking your joints, more like snapping your fingers. And I minorly pulled my pulleys in my index finger and thumb. Now, time gone by, that would have been me. I would have stopped and I'd have gone, right, I need to fully recover, fully rest. But I did some reading, I did some researching, and I spoke to some people who I knew who climbed. They're like, oh, yeah, that really sucks. Pulley injuries suck. And we looked through and there wasn't any severe thing. And what people said was, okay, just take it easy. Climb softer. And use this as an opportunity to actually improve your technique. And so that's what I kind of set out to do. Now, this kind of goes to the whole point about Geek going as a channel. I think if you're into climbing, we can all agree we love Magnus. Magnus is brilliant. And White Boys and Catalyst, although Catalyst are slightly different in what I'm talking about, and Emil, and all these climbers are so like brilliant to watch and aspirational because we may never be able to send a V8. But something I saw in comments quite a lot is, I'd like to see you send the V2 and not skip over the easier grades. And that's a sentiment I share because there is that plateau which is real. Around V3, V4, it kind of changes, it switches. And so what I've been using is this injury as a reason to actually really focus on what I can learn at easier grades. And part of the reason why I got injured was I got tunnel blind. I knew I should have stopped. I kept on saying to myself, one more go, one more send, one more go. And ironically, of course it was, the time I injured myself, I said, right, one last go, then I'm going to stop, then I'm going to move on so I don't hurt myself. And then I hurt myself. So what I've been doing is, well, if you knew me, classic me, I've been tracking and recording myself when I'm climbing to understand, okay, what can I do better? How can I make this softer, smoother, better? And to the complete and utter nerdy extent that I've actually been like having almost like a climbing logbook, right? Where I'm going, okay, so what type of wall is this? What type of holds is it? What's the hardest bit? What's the grade? Did I send it? How many attempts? And there's, a column here called 3 Lives, which is very much what I've been doing since I injured myself. And it started off as an injury recovery tool, but now it's very much how I'm using to train a bit, which is I don't want to think, oh, I like crimps, I'm only going to do crimps, or I like slopers, I'm only going to do slopers, or I only like slabs or caves. And it's something that Louis from Catalyst Climbing says, is make yourself almost do something even if it's not your style. And for me, that's, in my gamification way, making it 3 Lives has done. And this is some of the short form content I'm going to create, is my attempts at 3 Lives. So why I record myself is to look at it and go, okay, I did this wrong, I missed this, or this could be better, this could be smoother, this is what I'm going to do next time. And I give myself 3 lives to do it. And what that then, not forces, but gives me a way to do it, is go, okay, I don't like caves, or I'm nervous about pockets, somewhat understandably. Well, it's just 3 goes. So I can give it 3 goes, and if it goes well, it goes well, I send it, happy days. If I don't, I've learned something and I may be able to apply it somewhere else. So that's what I'm doing with my climbing to get to that goal, which I have, of getting a V6 boulder and sending one of each grade, is that. And as time goes on, I'll be able to project more, but especially coming back from injury and, and realizing that when I was climbing previously, I was younger. I'm in my mid-30s, entering my mid to late 30s, and my body isn't as resilient as it once was. So giving myself that structure is kind of helping. And equally what I hope is, and I can do more long-form content about this if people want to see it, but showing videos like this one of me sending a V1, or talking about how I think about sending a V1, V2, those easier, earlier grades. I don't know if it's helpful, it might be, but we don't see a lot of that on YouTube. We see the hard sends, we see the big sends, we see the projects, the V6s, the V7s. Because if you've been climbing for a long time, V1s, V2s aren't impressive. But if you're new and you haven't gotten into it, it's still like I said, I was thrilled, I still am thrilled when I send a V3. And that's the point in bouldering. No one looks at you in a gym and judges you going, oh, that person's only sending a V3. Everyone's supportive. But that same supportive content isn't necessarily seen elsewhere. So yeah, I injured myself by my brain saying I could do something that my body wasn't able to do. And that's the only real serious injury I had. Because I was worried because, do I need to get surgery? When I've hurt myself running before, it's usually been a muscle strain. Or when I've hurt myself cycling, it's been something that heals, like the cracked ribs. It's nothing been major. But this was the most severe injury I had because, I'm a coder for my job. If I can't use my fingers, I have real problems. And I think it's just that mentality and that shift and looking at it. That's what I'm doing to get to my goals now. I'm trying to set reasonable objectives and do reasonable things. So yeah, this video serves as two main points. One, it's really easy to injure yourself when you're coming back to fitness because you remember doing something. You're never a complete beginner again. And sometimes we set our expectations too high, not realizing that actually our bodies aren't there, even though we know that we can. And not listening to that or thinking about that, as I now know, can lead to a potentially derailing injury. But it's how do we use that? What do we do? What structures do we put in place? And like I said, I'm a nerd. I track everything. And this is what I want to show is the 3 lives content. And so this video also serves as what is 3 lives? 3 attempts to send a boulder and a way in which of getting me to try boulders that aren't my style. And not to spoil anything, by doing that, I actually found out that I like a different style than I thought I would. And turns out I'm weird and probably weird in the climbing community for liking these. But yeah, I found that from this. And it's things which help us push outside our comfort zone in a way that makes us stronger. But yeah, this is just a short video. I say short video, it's 12 minutes. But this is a video to kind of talk through that, see what that is. And next time I'm going to talk about the other items on the quest log. What I'm doing in terms of getting back running again. Still got that 10K in September. Spoiler, haven't started anything on that. But I have started on the 70.3 triathlon, which has been interesting. Let's put it that way. But in the meantime, that's going to be me. That's all I want to say in this one. If you like it, you like it. Hope you come back, follow us along, do all that stuff. And yeah, see you.